Right, today's little shed tinkering is putting some Oxford hot grips on my new V Strom. So let's get the seat off. That was loose, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Let's put that out the way on top of one of the other bikes. Okay, so that's the seat off and out the way. Now I've just got to decipher what plastics need to come off. So, next step is to take, see, this is where it differs. This is where it differs from the old one, because this section here went from there to there. It clipped underneath the nose, so you have one bolt and then that will come off. And now this is one continuous piece which goes down to the nose cone, which is a little bit more involved, but hopefully it'll give me a bit more access to everything. Right, there's one there, two smaller ones under here. Again, I think, having not stripped this newer bike down before, it's all a bit new to me. I am getting good at dropping bolts though. Now, do you come off at that? Yeah. So it pushes forwards. You see the shape of the tabs there. So it goes like that, and when we want to take it off, it goes like that. So that's one section. Okay, so I've taken both those side red stripes off, and if I remember rightly, the next part is this plastic on the top of the tank, which then allows you to get to the bolts to these pieces down the side. So let's try stripping that off, which is a bolt at the back here and two quick release doobies, one there, one the other side. I think that's what I'm going to undo anyway, and we'll see if it indeed comes away. There's another two. There's another two quick release ones down the front here, one there and one just in there. So that's four quick release. I'll take the tank bag ring off and then see what I get. Now what we got, that's looking a bit better. Right. It's the two, got two plastic push-in clips that go in these holes here. Right, so it's another successful piece of plastic removed. Okay, with that tank plastic removed, can now get this side plastic off, which looks like it's a bolt there, and one there. Right, so I'll undo them three bolts. Okay, so also inside you've got the electric cables, and they are clipped to this panel, and that's all that's holding it now. And if I remember rightly, it's a bit of a struggle to pull this out. So I'll put you down. Okay, so that's that clip released, and then it just falls out. So that's that one off. So it's 1, 2, 3 bolts, and then pull that electrical wiring out of there, which is a bit of a pig. Right, let's get this out of the way. Okay, so I had a look at the plugs and the electrics at the front there. There's nothing there that I can easily identify as a good power supply without interrupting something else. So I don't really want to cut into OEM wires. That way disaster lies, I think. So I'm going to take this panel off. He says, very brave. Where does that end? Does it end? I don't think it ends. Jesus, it's there by the looks of it. That whole section. Anyway, I'll undo this portion and bend this back, I think, because it's only a lightweight plastic. And then I might be able to feed the wires up through there, past the tank, and they will sit sort of on top of the frame and then come through here to the battery, which will save me taking the whole tank off. So that's what I'm going to go for. That's the plan. So yeah, I'll undo that and bend that back. Yeah, so if I can wang the wires back here, as I say, they'll be on top of the framework, then I can loosely cable tie them to the brake lines, which will keep them up and out the way of like the cylinder head and stuff, and bring it back underneath the tank bracket up to the battery. I think that might be the plan. Let's try that one. First of all, let's open the box and see what we get. That's the lot. We've got a bit of paper that says thanks for buying it. I actually bought these from a buddy of mine. Got him a little bit of a discount on them, and he never ended up fitting them, so I got them back for, how much did they cost me? 40 quid and my Hayabusa Haynes manual, which obviously I don't need anymore because I haven't got a Hayabusa. Right, so what do we get? We get fitter and using instructions. We get a left hand grip, probably denoted by the L, and a right hand grip, and a control unit, and a fused power supply, and cable ties, and Oxford grip glue, which I don't know whether I never put enough of this on or what, but it always seems to come undone. So that's what you get in your box. Stop throwing that. Alright then, it's mine, I can do what I want with it. So yes, ultimately this is the cable we want to feed back to the battery, and then wang all these other bits up onto the handlebars. Oh, it sounds so easy, doesn't it? Instructions are for ladies, so we don't need them. Right, to the bike. So, first thing to try and achieve is to get this wire fed through the tank. Right, so bend that plastic out of the way. You can see the brake lines here, some tubing of some sort, a bit of cabling, and it goes underneath, inside but underneath this bracket here. So I'm going to feed the power cables in the same direction, and then if I need to get the tank up and that, I'm not having to undo all of these wires and that. You know you want it. There you go. Right, so that's up through there, and I'll feed that a bit more later, because if I've got any excess at the front there, then I'll pull it through. That's fed through, so the next step is to start stripping these down and taking the old grips off. Okay, there's one grip off. I'll just clean off this glue, and then prepare it for the new grip. Okay, so I got the excess glue off, and I was just doing a test fit, and being that you've got the name on them, there it is, Oxford. It's really not that exciting. Yeah, being that you have got the name on them, it sort of denotes which way up they should be, because once you're on there, there's your Oxford, and then the other side, it's also got an Oxford, so it wants to be around there, and to have the connection, the wiring coming out of there, does mean it's out the way of every button, and also the clutch lever doesn't snag into it either. So somewhere about there, and then the wiring will go off. Quite neat and tidy, so I'm quite happy with that. And once I've snug it up to the switch unit, there's a slight bit of handlebar showing, but I think once the bar grip goes on, that's not going to be noticeable. When I've fitted these previously, I've had to trim them down, more so for the throttle side, so you get a smooth throttle action, but that is good enough. So now we want a bit of glue, and stick that in place. Over the full length. Don't let it drip on your paintwork, apparently. And then get the grip into place. I'll just turn that a bit just to get the glue around the circumference. And there we go. So that one is on. Got to route the electrics in a minute, so I'll take the other side apart, and get that one sorted. So this side is a bit more important, being that it is the throttle side. Yeah, I think I've had this before, and to get the Oxford ones on, there's a lip this end, and indeed a lip this end, which you need to trim off. Yeah, I'm not going to save these ones. I don't know whether you can tell, but there you go. Yeah, there's no real glue on that throttle. It is just a lip. It is just a groove there and a groove this far end that snugs onto the raised portions. You've got this raised portion here which the grip sits on. It's got its own groove that this raised lip sits in, and then this end you've got the same again, a raised lip which the grip itself, the Suzuki grip, has got a lip in that snugs into that, so they haven't glued it at all. It just sits on those raised portions. So I'm pretty sure this edge will have to be cut off, and I'm sure I had to take this edge off as well, or else the grip doesn't go far enough in. But obviously you have to be a little bit careful. You have to be a little bit careful. Where are we? You have to be a little bit careful because you don't want the grip to snug up against the actual throttle cable housing there, or else you'll get drag on it, and that'll be a drag. But there is this lip, this raised lip here, and then inside, I don't know if you can quite see that, but there is another raised lip, so the Oxford butts up against that, if memory serves me. So I need to get the Dremel out and cut these off. I will try the Oxford grip up against it first. So yeah, it's got to, the lip's got to come off. This lip at least has got to come off. And as you can see in there, there is sort of a recessed edge. And as I say, that second, the inner raised lip, sort of sits snugly in there. So this goes tight up to the throttle cable housing, but it doesn't rub against it as such. So yes, I'll get the Dremel out and I'll cut this edge off, and then offer the grip up and see where we get to. It might be that I've got to put a bolt through it. Yeah, it might be that if this is too loose on the sleeve, it might be that I just put a bolt through it to hold it on, or 3 Jubilee clips just to clamp it down. I think that'd be a great idea. Very inventive and very comfortable for the user. Or stupid. Right, anyway, what was I getting? Dremel to cut that off. So it's a good fit, it's a good snug fit, which is, again, is very good. That's what you want. And obviously the glue will fill that gap. But now I need to get rid of this collar here. So yes, I'm going to have to cut off that inner lip. But as I say, there's a smaller diameter, smaller diameter lip the other side of this bigger bit here, which will stop the grip going right hard up against the throttle housing, throttle cable housing. So let's just cut that off. Right, that's that collar taken off. So I'm just going to try the grip again, make sure I've got all the bits off. Yeah, that's much better. So you've got the slight edge here. So once your bar end weight goes on, even if it at its furthest in position, there's still more than enough on the throttle, which is how you want it, obviously, or not obviously. And so we've taken that collar off, which sat here. It's enabled the grip to snug right up against, but without interfering. As I say, there's a smaller inner collar that the grip itself snugs up to. Where do we want it? About there, with the Oxford showing. And there you have it. So now we want some glue on there. Right, so let's pull that back off. Yeah, and the wiring's not interfering when you turn the throttle. So that's that in place. So now, well, I can put the bar end weight back in. Let's let the glue go off first. I don't want to find that there's a bit of glue oozes out and then all of a sudden I've got a bar end weight stuck to my throttle and I can't turn it. Turn my phone light off. Right, so now we want the control unit, which realistically you want on your left hand side, because if it's on the right hand side you need to take your hand off the throttle to change the controls. Okay, I battered the bracket so it's flat. And it gives you in the set longer bolts and a spacer to counteract for the fact that this is shaped to the bar, has got that curve in it. So through the bracket first, through the spacer. Right, first of all, let's get the control unit on there. That's that done up. So let's go back to placing it on the bike. Yeah, let's not start throwing sockets on the tank. Of course, when you're doing your own, if you want to throw your sockets on the tank, that's really up to you. Marvellous, beautiful, beautiful, marvellous. Level on the other side. I think I want to bring the handlebars down a bit anyway, since I did the riser conversion. Now it's just a case of running wires, There's the main feed, there's the main feed. So I've pushed the wires down through, following the existing wires, which goes underneath the handlebars and then through the forks at the front there. Now I'm just plugging in, this is the left hand one, denoted by the L, and it doesn't matter which connector out of these two it goes into. That is the power supply, which is a totally different plug, so you can't get it wrong. Well, you'd have to really bloody force it in there to get it wrong. Again, if you want to get it wrong, that is entirely up to you, because it's your bike, so you do what you want. Right, now let's feed the right hand one. Again, I'll say again, yeah, we'll follow the OEM cabling. I'll come around the front. Follow the cabling down this side for the switch gear there, and then I'll just swap it, and instead of bringing it through that side fork, I'll bring it through this side with all the rest of them, and again plug that in. You can't get it wrong, and if you do get it wrong, that would be amazing. He says, not being able to plug this in. I think that connector is just at a funny angle. Where's my little screwdriver? Where's my little screwdriver? I had a little screwdriver just a minute ago. Oh no. I'll put it back. I'll put it back. Where's it gone? So that's them in there. And then we want the power supply that we fed through earlier. So we've got cable here, which is following the electrics cable here down this way, and then I've swapped it underneath the ignition cable. Underneath the ignition cable there, and pulled it through this fork, and all the cabling is now underneath there. So that's all plugged in. Now I've just got to make sure I'm not crushing it when I go lock to lock on the steering, which I shouldn't be. No, that's okay. And there's no pulling of wires or anything, so just got to group this up, and I'll probably put a load of black tape around that, a load of insulation tape around that first, just to give it a bit more protection from the elements, and then start cable tying it to the original loom, and cable tying all these so it's all neat and tidy. So yes, I'll get on with that. Okay, so I've hooked up the power supply, pulled a bit more cable through to make sure that's all right, but I will be, as I say, cable tying this so it can't move around. I've taped up all the connections So before I actually cable tie it everywhere, I'll just give it a test run. Well, we've got power. Oh yeah, you feel the warmth. Feel the warmth coming through them already. Nice. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's cooking. Now we're cooking. Marvellous. Right, so the other thing to check, and we'll just turn that down so it's not taking so much power, is this is an intelligent heat controller. So apparently, well not apparently, when you turn the ignition off, like if you're fueling up and stuff, it will sense that the bike's off, and instead of sitting there draining your battery, it goes into battery saving mode. So this should start lighting up or flashing or whatever it does. It's after, there you go, 20 or 30 seconds. Now that's in battery saving mode, so it just takes the smallest of trickle charges, smallest of currents, just to trickle feed the grip so they don't go stone cold, so they're not starting again from zero as such. And I'm not sure, should I look in the paperwork? I should do really. I think it's a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes that'll go on for, and then it'll switch it all off completely. But generally speaking, I'll switch it all off anyway. Because if I'm getting off the bike, I don't want them draining the power. But yeah, that's that. As I say, I'll just get some cable ties and cable tie all these cables. That's what cable ties are for, isn't it? No, they're for all manner of things. Let's get a dodgy framework. Must get myself a proper tripod. Right, I'll get some more cable ties because they don't supply you with many. I'll get a few more cable ties and then start tying all this up, neatening it all up. Okay, so that's all cable tied together. Just got to put all the bits and pieces back on. That shouldn't take long. It shouldn't. Okay, so that's that little bit of plastic bolted back, nice and secure. So just crack on and stick all these bits of plastic back on. Not forgetting to push the cable clip back into the inside of this piece to hold that secure. Then you've got two smaller bolts which go in the bottom right and top left, and then the bigger one goes up the top there. That was a little bit fiddly. The tank plastic, the hole's just not big enough, so it was just encroaching on the thread. So it's a bit fiddly, that thing. No rudeness here. Right, so tank bag ring back on, and then do the bar ends. Well, that's just about it. Put the seat on and tidy up. And that is how I've fitted Oxford heated grips to my V Strom 1000. So nice, neat, all neat and tidy, all on there beautifully. Yeah, lovely. Sorted. Well, that's it. There's tinkering in the shed. Over for this Sunday. And it is meant to be getting a little bit chillier this week, so might even have a chance to try them out before the winter arrives again. Well, let's get the summer done first. Let's not wish our months away. There you go. My V Strom with some heated grips on. Beautiful. Ta-ra.